Now this is dedicated mainly to my old school horror fans out there. I got a good one for you. And with that, I'm working with to another episode of The Romantor, where my goal as always is to enhance your movie watching experience. So The Void, this one caught my attention. I heard some buzz about this one. This was screened late last year in some of the festivals, so I was kind of looking forward to it. So I'm always up for seeing those underground hidden gems, particularly in the horror genre. So I was really excited to see this one, and I gotta say I was not disappointed. So The Void is by the same producers who gave us The Witch last year, which I thought was a underseen movie. It was actually a very good horror movie. If you guys haven't seen that, you should guys check it out. But essentially, you have the sheriff who's parked on the side of the road. He sees this kind of stranger stumble out from the woods. He's hurt. He takes him to the hospital. In this particular hospital, he takes him to. His wife works there, but it's very minimally staffed. There's like 1 or 2 doctors, a couple of nurses, and maybe 1 or 2 patients. Apparently, the hospital was burned recently, so they're in the process of moving to a different building. When the sheriff goes outside to call for help, he sees something really effed up that happens inside. He goes out and sees this weird people dressed up like a KKK, so to speak, on like this cult. And he goes back inside. These people are surrounding the hospital, keeping him inside. And inside is all kinds of crazy effed up shit that happens. And this small group just tries to survive the night. Now, essentially, it's a very simple premise. This is a horror movie. I didn't expect anything more than that. It's kind of all I really wanted, to be honest with you. And what's really great about this particular horror movie, if you guys are a fan of, if you guys are old school horror movie fans, particularly from the 80s, this is right up your alley. The directors are fairly new. They haven't done anything really big. And you know, you can tell by the way they made this movie, but that's okay. And I'll get into that in a second. But it draws a lot from the 80s horror flicks, and some good ones, whether it be Prince of Darkness, Hellraiser, and The Thing, which is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time. These guys were clearly influenced by that, which is really cool. It has a kind of vibe. I think it takes place sometime in the 80s. They don't really say, but it appears like that because no one has any technology, no cell phones or computers in the hospital with the huge damn screens that I used when I was in junior high. Damn, I'm old. But even more impressive is the fact it's its use of practical effects, and its heavy world is CGI, and it's pretty much everywhere, even in horror movies. It's great to see a movie kind of go stay back to the basics. It has a lot of cool visual creatures, a lot of graphic images, and it's all via practical effects. Some of it very reminiscent of Hellraiser and of The Thing, and that's a good thing. Obviously, I'm not saying this movie is obviously not amazingly original, but it draws upon the right things, and that's so cool. If you like that kind of vibe, if you like seeing these creatures and the makeup and the effects, this one's for you. I like seeing those kind of things. It's kind of refreshing. But again, besides that, which is great, this movie does build good tension, man. Particularly the last maybe 40 minutes, it's very well paced. It's almost nonstop. A lot of pretty good scares. It's not your typical scares, not jump scares, nothing like that. It's really more just the tension that it builds as these guys are trying to survive, and you see these creatures coming at them, and these weird kind of cosmic things that are happening. So it's kind of cool to kind of see them go through that. But ultimately, my only real gripes about this movie are just a couple of small things. One, again, when I guess the big reveal, as far as it unveils everything that's been going on, some things kind of don't make sense, and I guess that's okay for this kind of movie. But it would have been nice to kind of tie in. You kind of have a vague understanding what really went on, but you're not really sure. It would have benefited from having given us a good explanation of it, but that's fine. And again, the directors, I wish you would have someone with a little more experience doing this, because this thing could have been a real, I guess could have been a classic under the right hands. You can tell these guys, they didn't put much into the characters, and I could have benefited from an extra 10 minutes early on building the characters that we get to see and follow in the movie. But that's okay. And then the editing is very choppy. Some things happen, it's a little disjointed, and a character is one place 1 minute and the other place the next minute. It was kind of weird, but again, those small gripes. At the end of the day, you're there to get scared. You're there to be in a position where you're tensed up, you're at the edge of your seat, see some really cool visual, little grotesque stuff that goes on. And that's exactly what this movie does. It's a callback to the old school 80s movies, and like myself, which I love. If you guys enjoy that, this movie is right up your alley. It gets released on the 7th of April. I'm not sure what kind of wide release it's gonna get. You may not be able to catch it. If you don't, try to catch it on when it gets released in streaming services, Netflix and all, Amazon. Nonetheless, if you guys want to catch it, let me know what you guys thought about it. And of course, as always, if you haven't already, subscribe below and feed money to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.